Hello there. It has been quite a minute since I've made a video, at least a few months at this point. And so I've been working on a lot of projects in my spare time, and I wanted to start recording the development cycle and starting to review it actively. And I thought that I might as well start recording this process and start sharing it and getting it out there. Not because I want it to be popular or anything like that. I think most of the stuff that I'm working on right now has a lot that needs to be done with it still, so it's definitely nothing for that. It's morely for me to be able to look back and review my process, and also I think that sharing this process and doing a devlog will help me be more consistent about it. And honestly, I've been wanting to make a video for a while and have not had an excuse yet. So I have been working on a project. This has been, the very beginning of the idea of this project started, practically speaking, 3 years ago. I know I've shown little clips and pieces of it, and then that project has slowly developed over time into what it is now. And it's like now I'm like reevaluating where I want it to go. So that's kind of what this video is assessing where the project is now and where I want it to be, and then the steps to get there. So the first thing is that the overall project is called ToolDoBox. See right here, there's a whole bunch of prototypes that I've built when I was first learning like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I've got a whole bunch of prototypes built, but they're missing a lot of functionality, and that's kind of where I want to go with this. So I started off a while ago. I made just a bar. Let me see if I can pull it up. I wasn't. Oh yeah, still. It's designed for a larger screen, but this is it. This is literally just you could start a timer, and so let me see if I set it to like 1 minute. You can actually see. So this would sit up at the top of your screen, and it would show you like, okay, this is how much time it takes. It's designed for 4K. I have it scaled down right now. And then also has like little things like a session timer for how long you're working. And then you can set like stuff like that. And this is just a really old, outdated piece of software. So that eventually turned into, I need to have it on the web. So productivity bar was my solution to that. You can see this is I can clear this out. So this guy normally I normally have him folded up. So you'd only see like this much of the browser. But if you've ever heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's a 25-minute timer followed by 5-minute break. It's just a way of keeping yourself focused, and I think it really stems from the idea of you having two different states of mind, focused versus diffused mindset, and it just helps with if you get stuck with a difficult problem, it's good to step away from the problem, and so that's kind of where the break system works out. So we'll just set this to 1 minute so it's easier to see. So the timer will progress across here. This is just for your current focus session or whatever. This is a prototype, and then you'll see down here, you'll see the version, like basically a smaller view. You can stop it, start it. I don't know if I'm going to keep that functionality. You could technically reset the timer, but it doesn't need to be reset. So we'll say, okay, now we'll go to a break. We'll say we did 41 seconds of product time, and now we're doing break. And you can see the more and more we do this, so say we have a 7-second break, and now we go back to productive time. And now you can see like this will continue shifting down over the course of a day. So when you finish at the end of the day, you'll be able to see like, oh, my average thing was this long, and my breaks were here. And so you can kind of see that. It's cool. Yay. I guess. So this is kind of where I started, because I realized that I use the timer functionality of this a lot. Especially because most of my work is sitting, like school work, programming, all that crap is sitting. So it also helps me remind me to stand up, get water, and all that crap. It's okay. It functions. There's like 20 other, like you could go online and find like 20 of these types of projects that other people have done that are so much better than this one. And that's not really the point here. So this is kind of like the main thing I'm going to be focusing on right now as I build up. Really, I'm using this as a example project to build up my process of working through these things. So you can see very minimum amount of functionality here. That's what it was intended to be. It was a prototype. I am working on building out some of the ideas for the functionality because what I did is I was like, okay, right now this uses, we can actually look at it. This uses your local storage. And you can see daily sessions right here. So you can see if I scroll this down. So this is all this stuff, this data is stored in your browser. So if I were to like refresh this page, you can see that this stays here. And the only reason I can do that is because I use local storage here. So you can see its focus section, it's 41 seconds long. Then this one's a break, this one's a productive. And so you can kind of see that. And then I also added right here, this button, which I have it turn on and off because it was messing with the visual of it. But if you press this, you can clear the cache and all of the local storage disappears. That's just if you wanted to start a new day. So that's this. So what I did is I was like, okay, this is great. However, I can only use it on whatever browser. So I can't use it on my phone. I can't use it on my laptop and desktop all in the same instance. So that's where I started working on server-side development. This is a prototype-ish. I don't know how to describe it. It has account functionality. Like I can log in and you can see this looks so much cleaner. Also, give me 1 second. It's giving me like thousands of errors right now because it does not like that I do not have a picture. So let me just throw a random picture in here for real quick. Photoshop, profile. We'll just throw this guy in here. That should have it stop complaining at me. Oh, nope, it's still... Gosh, there's so many error logs. Anyway, we're just going to ignore that and just pretend that it worked properly. Oh, there we go. It worked properly. See, that was just too fast. So yeah, like this looks a lot cooler. It's got this fluid animation and stuff, but I'm going to have to completely redo design on this. Maybe not completely. I just know that functionality-wise, this is not a very functional design for where I want it to be. I also added settings. Well, I eventually want to build out these settings, but you can do Control F on something like this because the way that I use it, so that this is a different cache. So you can see it's very much the same project. There's almost no differences outside of some aesthetic, but you can Control F and full screen it because I like to take my browser projects and squeeze them down and then have them like locked into my, around my field of vision. So I use this guy, but it's still just local browser. So the idea here is that now that I've got accounts that you can log in, update passwords, and like do all this stuff with these accounts, now I can associate data with these accounts, which means that I can set up all server-side and database information. It's super cool. So that's this thing it's a free trial thing, and I didn't pay for it, so in 2 days it's gonna shut down because I've been running it all month. So eventually I'll start paying for it and start paying for the database and all that crap, but I don't have to right now because I'm still working on it. So this is where the project is right now. These guys, so this is just one of the ToolDoBox projects. Eventually I will be building out these as well. So this is I think I've discussed this in the past. I'll just give like a 2-second introduction. Say you're working on something and give it a timer. Imagine if you've ever seen a splits timer for speed running games, it's just like that, except it's a task list. It's a to-do box. You could see I estimate this task is going to take a minute. It tells me how long I've spent on it and how far off I am from my estimate. And then I can stop that and go around here. I use this every day, actually. I use this for a lot of my morning stuff, and since it's a weekend, I've been chilling with that. I actually use this one a lot. This is a goal bar. Reading books. This is a new book I started today, and you can just... I have like so many projects like this, man. This is just like... Eventually, these will all be server-side, because right now, again, like earlier, you can see all the goals are right here. So let's say we can look at... let's look at Funny on Purpose. It's this one. So the completed color you can see is stored here. Completed today, 48. And you can just see all the information is stored locally in the browser. Eventually, this stuff, this data, is going to be on a server, so I can access it anywhere. Yay, server-side stuff. And that's kind of like I'm just building up lots and lots of things that need to be done. So anyway, these are just projects that will eventually be over here. Yay! These guys are not really built out yet. You can see the UI is pretty crap. But one of the things I did do with this one is, let's go to iPhone and lower this guy. And boom. Okay, so you can see this is like what it would look like on a phone. And look, it's great, except the functionality of this design is poor UI experience and design, because if you look at this right now, you wouldn't know that there's another app down here, and you probably wouldn't think to scroll this way. So I mean, there's just like so many things that are wrong with this. I spent a while, like a really long time, this animation right here, where you click it and it fills up this. Like I spent so long on that. And also all of this stuff is not designed for mobile. But it's a start. It's a start. I think I finished. This looks like crap. Like functionality wise, I wouldn't use it this way. But I've started at least. Like this one looks fine-ish except for the settings button that doesn't really exist. So anyway, that's like the current state of the project. So the idea is that I'm going to take this, which has basically just a foundation building block. It's got a database system. It's got server-side crap. You can log in. You've got settings. Like I've got basically a really good foundation right now to build off onto this project. And so all the prototypes are here in their half-assed state. And then that's where I've started to work on building out basically where I'm going to take these things. And I realized that I didn't exactly know where I wanted to take them. I was just like, oh, I want them to work with databases and accounts. And I wasn't like specific on what I wanted them to do. So, which caused me to like, not panic, but reevaluate. I spent like the past 2 weeks reevaluating the decision making behind a lot of this stuff. And so like that animation that I showed you here, probably I spent 5 hours on this thing. Don't worry, the settings doesn't exist on mobile. So I spent like 5 hours on this animation to make it like work the way that it does. And I'm probably not going to end up keeping the design. And that's part of why I'm like, man, I spent so much time working on these like little fun fidgety gadget things. And design wise, I'm gonna have to reevaluate it all, because functionality wise, which is kind of what I need, and design wise, it's not where I want it to be. I did build this like cool logo, a little bit of AI help, but mostly my work. So anyway, we're getting a little bit off track. So this is where it was. This is kind of where the project is right now. And I've been taking a design course, which is one of the reasons I reevaluate everything. For those of you who know me, I take and do a lot of online courses in my free time. So the Node, this is the course that I took that basically built up the foundation for all of this stuff using Node, Express, MongoDB for all of the account and stuff. Great course, highly recommended it. Also the HTML and CSS one. I'm halfway through the his JavaScript course as well. He does just a great job. I can't show this because that's copyrighted. But so I went through this course recently, which is a user experience and web design course, and he walks through a lot of decision points on like, okay, before you start actually building out things, you need to figure out these things and make these decisions. So now I started taking his, some of his decisions for project definition, for wireframing and user stories and all that stuff, and then added it to the back end stuff. So basically making a start to end product definition to whatever design. And that's what this document is. And that's where I am now, is I've kind of working through how do you get an idea from the very start of, okay, I want something to keep track of how productive I am over the course of a day. Oh my gosh, my hair just went everywhere. My hair is ridiculous. I'm not editing this video because I'm lazy and need to work on the actual project and not the video for the project. So it's just lots of like questions like, why are we doing this? What are we creating? Who's the audience? What do they want? Are there competitors and all this sort of stuff? And I'm redesigning this sheet. But it walks through basically scoping the project, was another thing, because I didn't set any limits on what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, I want to build this thing and this thing and this thing and add this feature. And I never like limited myself on that. So now I'm like limiting. I'm like, okay, minimum viable product. What does that need? Version 2.0. What am I not going to do? Focusing on things like information architecture, designing in, and all that sort of stuff. Data modeling is a big one. This is a lot of the back-end stuff that I want to have with the account system. It means a whole nother field of engineering required behind it. So I'm learning that, and wireframing for UI design, actually sketching out and thinking about design rather than just being like, okay, I have a button, I need to put it somewhere. I'm just gonna put it here because that's where it needs to be, right? So actually sketching out designs, and I'm working on building out more to this document. So that's kind of where I am right now, and I've kind of walked through a little bit. So let me pull up this guy again. So that's right now, that's the current state of the project, and my current idea for future devlogs is going to be, this is the building place, this is the starting foundation, and every 1 to 2 weeks I'll come back with an update of, here's what I worked on this week, here's what I still have left to do, and all that jazz. So, and I've been actually printing out this stuff and taking notes and crap, and it's been fun. Yay. So I'll show you, or at least talk to you about some of the things that are going to be different with this application specifically, the one that we're looking at right now. Let's see here. So one of the things I realized is that I use a lot of different, or I've tried and used a lot of different time tracking software. One of the ones that I don't really want to show, but let me see if I can show it. Okay, I can. So this is a time tracking software. Start, stop, paid. You can see reports, how much money you've made, and it works really simply because you can just press start, and then it will start tracking time. You give it a name, say we're working in college, give it a tag, give it a project, all that sort of crap. And it's super easy, and this is how I'm thinking. So I want to have something as simple as this. I don't want this to be any more complicated than a single button to get started. And then you can add things like a reminder to get up and take a break, and you can put something like that here, and it will automatically update it with the session. So making it as easy as possible to start and stop this. I think what I'm also going to do is I'm going to remove a lot of the unneeded functionality behind it. Like, for example, the start and stop feature. Ideally, start and stop will be the beginning and end of a session rather than just starting and stopping in the middle of one. And you can just say, instead of you would never press this unless you were ending the session, which would be like ending one of these guys. And instead you would press break, and it would just keep going from break point of view. So you would never, the timer would never stop ticking until you finished whatever you're working on, or you're moving on to a different project, and it would just keep going. And all you would do is press whether you're on a focused mode or diffused mode or break mode. And that would be ideally how I want it to move forward, partially because it saves a lot of random crap that I'd have to keep track of in the back end. It minimalizes down the data model a bit because I'm not keeping track of starting and stopping times. I'm just, here's start, and then here's when we went to break mode, and here's when we went back. The other thing though is, and I realized this, that apps like this don't have, is I want to be able to take notes and associate these notes with the session. Like I can put in basically the task, but I can't say, like, for example, when I'm doing reporting and sending out invoices and all that crap to clients and working on other projects, when I'm reviewing that stuff, I like to know itemized list of what I did, what I accomplished, and what I'm working on, basically as like a log book type of thing. And so far, I've seen like, I think Toggle might do that, but I want to be able to integrate that and then also have it itemized with these sessions. Be like, you worked on like, so I'd be able to create a new note. So let's say like, so here's what I'm thinking. You create like a note. Get over here. There we go. So you'd be able to create a note and be like, okay, this task is school. This is unit 4 of, I don't know, web programming, because that's what I'm taking right now. And then I'd be able to say description. Finished self quiz. Finished reading assignment. Like that type of thing. And then when I go back to this session, so let me see if I can, oh, that's not what I want. Ignore that. So anyway, the idea is that I'll be able to associate notes with these sessions. I think that's a feature, like, and it's kind of like, this is where I'm at right now, where I'm thinking like, okay, what are the features that I want to add? That one I think is going to be very valuable to me because of the way that I end up using these things. The other thing, so a lot of the time tracking one lets you keep track of, so this is the old like 3-year-old program I worked on. Being able to have session stats, because right now everything is based off of your current Pomodoro log. So logs are these guys, productive or break. Sessions is the entire eclipsed that includes that. So I want to be able to have session stats that include, for example, the entire session. And then you see right here, this has a very similar rudimentary, like a productivity percent. And then also being able to see how much money you've made as an actual, like, oh, what? That's bizarre. Anyway, then you'll be able to see reports of that for the session. That, I feel like this was a fun feature. I also added, which I don't know if I'll be able to actually show. Let's see, 14 minutes. Let's see if that works. I added this little offset because I would always be like, I was messing with it and testing with it, but I never got it to be completely smooth. So I added something that every 15 minutes or so, every time you made some increment of money, it would have this like fanfare of like, I try to gamify it a little bit. So let's see if it actually works. But I think this would be a cool feature to also have in here. It's getting a little bit complicated because you see already we have logs with productivity versus break percentage. Then we have timers, which is this whole functionality here. Yeah, so every 15 minutes or so you'd have something like that. Then you'd have some sort of note system, and implicit in the idea of the note system would be having a project management system, being able to assign sessions to a project, assign the projects to having some sort of earning amount, like school would be $0 an hour. This client is this many hours, and then being able to eventually export it. So these are the types of projects I'm thinking about right now, because I'm right now in the, let's see here. I'm right now in the user stories section. So those are some of the ideas I have for what would be really valuable for me using this. And I'm just not sure what I'm going to work on this next week. I'm going to spend some more time today. This video is already nearly 25 minutes long. So I'm going to work on this next week. My goal is to basically assess where I am right now with this project, figure out the features and the things that I definitely want to have, and then start working on them. So that's where I'm at right now. This is going to be a long project. I think that because of the amount of time I'm able to give these projects, it's likely that I won't finish it. I'll only be able to add like one feature every like 1 to 2 weeks at this rate. So I'm thinking that I'm going to have to, and at this point with like these features that involve full stack things, like you've got everything from, you start with the idea, you need the UI. How is that going to work? You need the database. How are you going to build, access, store, find, filter, all that crap? And then all of the routes and the things you need to access the data. Then functionality speaking, when I press this button, how does this like start doing things? So it's like there's all of these problems are implicit in a single one of these features. And since I'm the only one working on this, it's probably going to take me a while to implement the ones that I want. But I could see this being a very valuable project for me, because this is a lot of how I manage my own work. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. This is technically we're at like week, I don't know, I've been working on this for like maybe 3 years. This version of it, I've probably been working on for the past year. So I'm hoping that this upcoming year, I'll be able to get a lot of the core functionality where I can have a usable thing. That's it. That's what I want, a usable thing. Well, if you made it this far in the video, that's pretty impressive. Listening to 26 minutes of me rambling about projects, that's you might want to get that checked out. Anyway, thanks for watching.